Oleston, Wendy Oleston, and you've probably never heard of me, and that's totally okay, because I don't think many people have. I published my first book in 2005, and I thought that the writing process was the hard part. I thought that once it was out there that it would just sell, and I would get rich and famous, and it would be all great. Y'all agree, right? That's how it works. Yeah. Well, considering that was before ebooks and before Amazon was real big, I was a little bit delusional. And not even my family members bought that book. More beeping.
Yeah.
It's a serious matter. Okay. So, but I looked at it as in, I did it. It was a dream, and I did it. So that means something, and I learned from it. But I put writing down after that because I was very disappointed at how it went, and it broke my heart. So it wasn't until 2014 that I decided to start typing again. And this time I started with a whole new outlook. It was more realistic. And the first thing I did was I found a mentor who had been there and done that. And her name is Natasha Preston. I don't know if anybody knows who she is, but she's the author of a book called Silence, which is an excellent book, and it is perma-free. So I would suggest checking that out. She's also author of The Cellar, as in the basement cellar, not like selling things, but anyway. She kind of took me under her wing and showed me how to do everything. And I'm so grateful for her because I've just followed her lead. I've done exactly what she's done. And it's worked out really well for me so far. So let me tell you a little bit about what I like to write. I have a book called As Is. It's about an alcoholic who is starved for love. And every man she's ever been with has done her wrong. Anybody know anybody maybe like that? Okay. My book, 30 Below, is about sex. It's about a couple who meet and they're so hot for each other that they just go right at it. And it kind of affects their relationship because of that decision. So I'm sure you guys can relate to that. Maybe a bunch of virgins in here? Yeah. Okay. Good for you. My book, Above 60, is about a one-night stand and how it affects a gentleman's marriage later. It also touches on racism, because racism is still alive and well today, even though we try to say it's not. My book, 360 Degrees, is about how hard marriage is when one person screws up, and how after that temptation is really hard to fight, and how easy it is to just give up on the wedding bond after something like that. And Seeds, I don't even know where to begin. It's about struggles with sex addiction and porn and infidelity, unplanned pregnancy, and what I see as a truly disgusting judgment of homosexuality. Now, do those stories sound boring to you? Okay, well, it might to some people, I don't know, but I think that array of things sounds kind of interesting. There are things that people can relate to. Now I want to tell you about who I like to write about. Mara Shaw is a single mother with low self-esteem. Know anybody like that? Faith Quinn has a mental illness that she's so petrified of people teasing her about, she's afraid to leave her house. Lucas Anderson is really mad at God because God took someone he loves from him. Corey Black is a blue-collar mechanic who was molested as a child. And Blaine Johnson, he is a good Christian, a pillar of the church, a family man, who loves pornography. And Shanna Price, she hates herself. Why? Because she had an abortion and she can't seem to get over it. So, let me ask you this. Do my characters sound perfect to you?
No.
Do they sound like untouchable strangers? No. I bet every single person in this room can relate to at least one of them in some way. In fact, you might be one of them. So, I will tell you that I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm also a Christian. When I got sober, I found recovery through God in the form of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Does knowing that about me make you not want to read my books? No, right? Well, let me tell you, the minute I called my work Christian fiction, I may as well stamped boring and judgmental on the front of it, and nobody wants it. Yes, I am a Christian, but as you can tell, I don't write about perfection. I'm real. I write about things that really happen in life, sex and sin. Oh, and my sex that I write about, it's good. It's not just implied sex. Right, Virginia? Okay. So I write about this stuff that's just nasty stuff in life, and it's stuff, troubles, hardships, frustrations, things that make us every day just want to pull our hair out and scream. But my purpose is to offer hope to people. I want to give hope to broken people through their entertainment. I want them to feel in their soul that no matter what their struggle is, no matter what their mistakes have been, that it's not over till it's over. We're never stuck unless we stop moving. And I aim to send a positive message, even with all that junk. My goal is to send a positive message. I don't shove God at anybody. In fact, the majority of people who read my work don't even remember that they're reading something that's called Christian. I have a couple readers who aren't Christian, and they love my work. I have a Buddhist fan who will buy everything I put out. I think the better phrase for my work would be morally infused. Now, personally, I feel like our entertainment these days has done a real number on our morality. And I'm not talking about sex and language, because that's all over television. It's all in our books. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about basic human decency. We have become a me society, and it's getting worse. I attribute this in large part to the entertainment we allow into our brains. When I restarted my writing career, I had a simple goal, and that was to give the world of entertainment something that would start to rebuild morals instead of breaking them down. Give something of value to the world instead of taking something valuable away. My goal with each book is to receive at least one email message from a reader that I do not know that says that I have changed their life for the better. And so far to date, I've achieved that goal. So here I am, I'm an author with some interesting stories to tell. And I've got some cool characters. I've got real-world experiences as a recovering alcoholic. Let me tell you, I've curled your hair. I have solutions because I've worked through these issues. I have hope and I have morality to offer. Yet I'm totally stuck. Let me explain it. Christian fiction readers don't want to have anything to do with me. In fact, they call me the devil, okay? Because I write about things they're not comfortable with. Sex, language, violence. They want to be sheltered, and that's great. There's a place for that, okay? But that's not what I write. On the other hand, a secular reader doesn't want to read my work because they're afraid. They're afraid because it says Christian that it's going to be judgmental or boring. And as a result, I've had an extremely hard time finding my audience. About 8 months ago, I made an appeal to the Book Industry Study Group. Does anybody know what that is? Okay, that's an important thing for authors and readers, okay? They are the ones who feed us the genre types that are available, okay? They're the one and only. So if you need a genre that doesn't exist, you have to go through that. I contacted them and asked them to add a genre called edgy Christian fiction, and they told me what I had to do, and it was difficult. I had to first define what it was. Edgy Christian fiction, to me, my definition is a Christian story that contains sex, language, and or violence for a purpose that the typical Christian fiction reader would be uncomfortable with. Okay, so I defined it, and then I had to find 100 titles that fits in that category, okay? Now, not only did I have to find them, I had to contact the author, I had to share the definition, and they had to agree that their book fit in that category and that they agreed with the definition of the category. Now, I had several authors who said to me, oh, no, I write inspirational Christian, but what you write is pornography. And it was enlightening to me, the judgment that was within the Christian fiction community. I had a hard time of it, but I persevered, and I got my 100 titles, and I had to also give their links to purchase. So I got my list together, and I sent it in, and they accepted it, and hopefully by the end of this month, they're going to add it to the list. So anybody who's looking for an edgy Christian fiction will be able to just look in that genre now, and I'm hoping that's really going to help me find my audience. We'll see, though. I found that it wasn't that I'm the only person that does this type of writing. It's that most of the people that do it become jaded because of how the Christian fiction society just kind of look down on us. And so they end up changing their genre to either romance or inspirational. They just remove the Christian out of it. And for me personally, I'm just not comfortable doing that because I feel like God is the one who led me to do this. And for me to remove the Christian out of it just doesn't feel right. Even though I don't pound anybody over the head with God, it's just where it's coming from for me is from God. So, a lot of people have suggested that I do just that I change my genre, then I would sell more books. And I can't do it. I refuse to budge, and as a result of my unwillingness to budge, and because I went through the work of appealing to the Book Industry Study Group for edgy Christian fiction, about a month ago, I got a surprise message from a company, a publishing company, who was looking for someone just like me. Someone who could put a new face on Christian fiction. And they offered me a deal. It was amazing. I didn't look for them, they found me. And what I want to say to you is whatever your dream is, I want to encourage you. Stay the course, don't budge, stick to your purpose, whatever it is. And don't ever give up. Don't listen to the masses. Don't give in. You are the only one that can do your thing the way you can. One of the funniest things that I've experienced since my journey began is the phenomenon that I like to call hate mail from Christians. It's so funny to me. I get email messages messages from good Christians that are just, they loathe me, and they feel like they need to tell me why I'm so wrong and I'm evil. And so what I do is I give them a gift, and I cut and paste their messages on my blog called Hate Mail from Christians. And that way they get published too, you know? And so that's my gift to them. So I find it really funny. I find it funny because I had one lady, she wrote me and she said, take it down. You said it. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of a few things that I've been told. This is one. How dare you write a book with a homosexual character and call it Christian? Okay, another one. Jesus would never say hell or damn. Well, aren't both of those words in the Bible? Right? Yeah. I like this one. You're pretty funny for a Christian. Because everybody knows Christians don't have a good sense of humor. Yeah. And this is my all-time favorite. It is obvious that you wrote this book for the secular people of the world. And I said, why? She said, well, because it's about an affair, and everybody knows that Christians don't have affairs. Okay then. There's an awful lot of Christians out there who are really close-minded, but I'm not one of those people. But I get lumped in with them, and it makes me sad. I want to kind of explain my take on things. I do believe in the Bible. I believe that the creation of the world happened the way God said. However, there's an awful lot of science out there that says it happened a different way. Who am I to say that God couldn't have done both? I honestly think that the biggest problem with Christianity today is the darn Christians. And I'm hoping that people who will give my work a chance will realize that not all of us are bad. In closing, I want to speak to each of you in the room that are authors. You and me, we write for the sake of entertaining the public. And like it or not, we are in a position of influence. We have the ability to seep into the minds of our readers, even if only for a few hours at a time. Now I ask you, what are you doing with that influence? We have a choice. We can choose to use that influence in a negative way and go along with society and what society thinks. Or we can choose to use that influence in a positive way. And I'm not talking about Christianity right now. I'm not talking about God, because there's probably people in here that aren't Christian or that don't believe in God, and that's fine. What I'm talking about is basic human decency. Just being kind to people. Being aware of the people around you and what might be going on in their minds. Holding a door open for someone who's carrying something heavy. Choosing your words more carefully, especially when you're behind your keyboard. I don't care what genre you write. Romance, BDSM, FFMM, YA Western, shifters. Gosh, there's a ton out there. I don't care what it is that you write. You can choose to use your influence in a positive way, somehow, for your characters. And I hope that you will join me with my mission to choose the positive. I hope that I am encouraging you to never give up on the dreams that you have. I hope that you will make a conscious choice to choose to use your voice to do something society is so desperately needing, and that is give something of value to the world instead of taking something valuable away. thank you for listening, thank you for coming, and thank you, Leah, for all of your hard work. You guys enjoy every minute of the conference. We're kid